Happy New Year and blessed be everybody. In this video, we are going to be talking about the major astrological themes and ongoing energies that are going to be consistent throughout the year 2024, focusing in particular on the outer planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, because they are the most shaping and formative influencers that are in our skies. And it's important to keep in mind, though, that since we are focusing on the outer planets, we have to do this in a sort of almost all signs kind of way. And the reason for that is that outer planets do not necessarily make changes happen through individual experiences. Now, of course, we have general astrological monthly horoscopes, of course, on this channel, which do get a little bit more personal. Of course, they're not really personal. But when we have outer planets, we are looking at influences that actually take form because of ripple effects going on over vast swaths of territories and experiences and stories. And so what we're going to do in this video is we're going to be talking about the most consistent influences that are going to be there, and we're going to talk about the months that they are going to be the strongest. Even though they're with us day in, day out, there are going to be some peak months this year for the planets that we're going to be talking about. And I'm also going to, at the beginning of each chapter of this video, put up on screen what is going on for each elemental group of signs. And that is because when it comes to outer planets, they tend to activate more than one space of our chart at a time. So it can be kind of misleading to look at, say, Neptune in Pisces or Jupiter in Gemini or Taurus and say, okay, all of the action is happening here, especially when we're looking at a yearly horoscope. So at the beginning of each chapter, as we talk about each and every planet and what's going on there, make sure you pay close attention. You're going to see what's going on with the earth signs and the air signs and the fire signs and the water signs, because that'll tell you what territories are going to be affected the most more broadly. And you'll also be able to then see, again, your rising sign group, your sun sign group, and your moon sign group all in the same place. So with all of that said, let's get down to business and talk about what is going on with this year. So to start, I want to talk about Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, which is all year long. This is actually a carryover from 2023. This actually started back in 2023 in March, but it's going to be a lot stronger this year. When we have Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, we've got Saturn, the planet of discipline, structure, responsibility, boundaries, and karma, working with Neptune, the planet of fantasy, dreams, imagination, spirituality, the unconscious, illusions, the etheric, and flow. And this is even more so because, well, Saturn is visiting Neptune in his own home sign. When we have these two working together, there is a huge focus on opportunities to bring fantasies and dreams into reality. A lot of this will come about in the form of a lot of big events going on in all kinds of different corners of your world, close to you as well as far away from you, that start moving other pieces, other people, and other situations around that are the perfect matches for those experiences to come forth into being. And that is because when Saturn and Neptune come together, you've got Neptune, of course, bringing that flow, right? Bringing movement where it needs to be. But we also have Saturn moving the pieces on the chessboard that are best for that experience all the closer and getting them ready to get down to business with one another. This is also going to be a time where you're going to notice the revelation and elimination of a lot of circumstances that are presently or have historically been antithetical or otherwise incompatible with a lot of dreams and fantasies you've been trying to live or bring forth into being. And this is also going to be a time where we're going to find a lot of mysteries and a lot of puzzles are getting solved as well. Mysteries as to maybe why something cannot or has not been able to come forth into being, or maybe mysteries or puzzles from the past as it relates to old business that still affects the present, how we solve things that seemed unsolvable, as well as how we maybe even find special shortcuts or special opportunities to get ahead through maybe somewhat unorthodox or roundabout or unknown or undiscovered ways. This is also going to be a time, though, where we need to be ready to adapt to outside and environmental shifts and transitions that can also change life chapters for us personally. The reason this can happen is that with Saturn and Neptune together in Pisces, there is also the focus on the closing of cycles, the closing of eras, right? Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac before the wheel begins to turn again. And so what happens with Saturn and Neptune together is that, we may find also environmentally that it's time for a lot of things to move on and move forward and onward and upward. And there can sometimes be some difficulty in those transitions. External transitions that change life chapters and life stories. Now, sometimes these can show up in ways that can be very easy to deal with. Sometimes they can be things that are very painful to deal with. Sometimes these are things that just catch us off guard, and some of us, I have already gone through this kind of experience with Saturn and Neptune in Pisces over the course of just the back half of 2023. But it's important to understand that there is also a lesson here as well. When we're talking about external transitions, we are talking about other journeys, other people's journeys, other people's stories that we do not have ownership of, but still affect us with their coming and their going. And so we're going to be going through that as well as we go through this year. But this is also, again, a time where everyone going through these passages and these transitions are also getting a chance to see where their life is shaping up to go next. And let's not forget the other side of Saturn and Neptune and Pisces, which is, again, while all of that's going on, these planets are also helping to bring about fantasies and dreams into reality, things that we have longed to have or longed to experience or longed to fulfill, even if they've been out of reach or the attainment of them has seemed too mysterious or impossible. And this is also going to allow for new stories to take tangible form. This is going to be, again, consistent throughout the year 2023, start to finish, but you will notice this coming on very, very strong in the months of February, March, August, and September. We also have Pluto stepping into Aquarius for the long haul this time, starting on January 10th. This is pretty much the beginning of Pluto's official commitment to the sign of Aquarius and the next 20 years. There is a brief period of time later on this year where Pluto will retrograde not even a full degree back into the sign of Capricorn, and it's a very small window. It's really not something for a yearly horoscope. It's really just sort of a short stint, and we'll talk about that as we get closer to the time in question. But for the sake of being practical and realistic about this, we're looking at Pluto in Aquarius for the long haul now. So this is the planet of transition, transformation, power, intimacy, rebirth, and the shadow, moving into the sign of freedom, autonomy, adventure, spontaneity, as well as community, and anything to do with inventiveness and experimentation and all of that good stuff, right? Aquarius is a bit of a wild, eclectic sign. And when we have these two combined, we can all expect fast advancements and fast evolution going on in many corners of our world all at the same time, especially in situations where developments or progress or even transitions have been delayed, right? Too many timeouts thrown at the end game for no reason. things getting stalled, things getting blocked up, things getting over-bargained, over-processed, over-analyzed, whatever. This is going to be a time with Pluto in Aquarius where this is now done. And with fast advancement and evolution moving forward here, you're going to see a powerful enforcement of progress and advancement out of stuck or even repetitive conditions as well. New and inventive creations and developments are going to change the landscape of all of our goings on globally and even more locally. So this could be also major changes to the infrastructure around your workspace, your career, your vocation, major changes going on in the way that you run your household or your relationships, your home economy. New inventive and innovative creations is the name of the game with Pluto in Aquarius. The last time we had Pluto in Aquarius, that's when we had the pushes for the Industrial Revolution. We had the cotton gin, bifocal glasses, circular saws, and so many other inventions start to go mainstream, and things start to really push society out of an era and into something a lot more technologically advanced for itself. Well, we're doing this all again, and it's going to be hitting us all each personally, locally, and globally. This is also going to be a time where breakthroughs in attracting and deepening important connections is going to be a big theme. Aquarius is actually a very intimate and affectionate sign. It's not really something that gets talked about too much because exoteric textbook astrology tends to want to keep everything to 5-word, descriptors. But in truth, Aquarius is all about having the deepest friendships, the most adventurous and loving and alive and erotic relationships. It's all about having the best collaborations and the best partnerships for whatever kind of venture or pursuit you have. And it's also a very humanitarian sign, a very community-oriented sign. So attracting and deepening all of these bonds, that is going to be huge for each and all of us during this period. But it is going to happen in a way where it almost feels like everything is coming on so strong and so fast. We're all really going to need to be able to think on our feet and, make sure that we are not trying to fight against a tide that is carrying us somewhere very, very good. And this is going to be, again, consistent from the 10th of January onward, but you're going to probably feel it most intensely in the months of January, February, June, and July. We also have Uranus in Taurus all year long, and we have Jupiter in Taurus through May 25th. And so we've got this combined energy once again, at least for the first half of the year or so, with the planet of spontaneity, revolution, invention, experimentation, and surprises, Uranus, the ruler of Aquarius, hence being very Aquarian sounding, and maybe that's why that might sound a bit repetitive. It's like, okay, Aquarius's ruler is now in the picture in Taurus. And we've also got Jupiter, the planet of advancement, good fortune, prosperity, and success, working together in the sign of stability, structure, harmony, and consistency. This is kind of an oxymoronic kind of experience when we have this kind of mix. And the reason for that is that when we have Uranus in any kind of space, disruptions do tend to be prevalent. Ever since Uranus went into Taurus, we've all been experiencing a lot of different disruptions. The COVID years is a perfect example of disruptions coming as the result of Uranus in Taurus. But with Uranus and Jupiter together, we're actually seeing a very different kind of experience. And so I kind of describe this as like a series of disruptive blessings coming in to our world. When we talk about disruptive blessings, we're talking about shakeups to our routines, our normals, maybe even our comfort zones that are actually for our good, but it will be tearing down the walls of our, familiar spaces and maybe our circular patterns. when we have disruptive blessings show up, this can show up in the form of, the big break, the big score, the big cash pot, or the awesome new relationship, or the opportunity to take a big trip, or a new venture beginning, or a new chapter starting in life that is overwhelmingly taking care of you. It's something that is so advantageous, but it turns your world upside down, right? You have to kind of realize that there might be some anxiety or some stress coming up in the frenetic nature of it all. When we have Jupiter and Uranus together, it's the big break that suddenly you need to be ready to bone up on your education. You need to, just kind of adjust the layout or of your entire world, how you organize your entire life and lifestyle. And that's going to come up again and again, or maybe in pieces as we go throughout the first 5 months or so of 2024. Sudden changes require adjustments and acceptance in order to solidify breakthroughs that bring good fortune. Unorthodox changes, again, unorthodox, Uranus influence, there you go. Unorthodox changes in your favor will often go against what you and others have been comfortable with, or go against the grain of what you've become accustomed to. So things that could be unprecedented for your community, unprecedented for your field or your vocation, unprecedented when it comes to your family or tradition or relationships. This is going to be something that is happening in your favor, but sometimes things that happen in our favor that go against familiar grain, even if we're not wholly satisfied or fulfilled or gratified by those grains, can still make us a bit uncomfortable and push us. And this is going to be a big part of this year. This is, again, going to require a lot of fast adaptation and a willingness and availability to a lot of new commitments that are coming in to commit to you in a very nice way. This will be building up consistently from the start of 2024 and peaking, though, and you're going to notice this, a 3-month peak, March, April, and May of 2024. After the 25th, we've got Jupiter moving on into the sign of Gemini, where he will remain all the way up until we get into June of 2025. So with Jupiter in Gemini, Gemini is the sign of information, it's the sign of communication, intelligence, but it is also very much like Aquarius, it is the sign of community, whereas Aquarius would focus on more like friendships and things like that. It is the sign of collaboration. And so when we have Jupiter here, there's going to be a big push towards opening up to working together and working with other people, right? Getting ourselves out there and building community, establishing new community, and a lot of community movements going on. This could be market changes. These could be things going on in more personal spaces, but also with professional opportunities as well. This is going to be a time where a lot of lucky breaks for all kinds of collaborations, friendships, partnerships, whatever kind of partnerships they are, platonic, romantic, business, all kinds of joint pursuits are all going through their big lucky breaks. This is also going to be a time of bringing into close contact and into close quarters important people, connections, and contacts for fruitful ventures. Whether or not we've been we've been looking for it. This may be a time where helpful people, helpful third parties are popping up everywhere for everybody. This is also a time where you may find that important connections are also going to be going through big evolutions in status, because Gemini is also a sign that does often work with contracts, pacts, promises, and agreements. This can be a time where a lot of merges, a lot of unions, and a lot of very cool long-term new connections and commitments start to get crystallized, as well as even evolutions of present bonds and present relationships and partnerships and alliances go through their own level up. And again, this is going to be a big part of the back half of 2024. But you are going to notice this most intensely or prevalently in the months of June and July, November, and December. So that is what we've got for 2024. It's an intense, very fast-paced new year for everybody. And this may be a year where, again, a lot of these disruptive blessings could scare us in the beginning, but actually bring us to a place of fantasy fulfillment by the end of it all. So that is what I've got for you all. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You know I appreciate it. Wishing you all a happy new year. And if you ever want to get a session with me, you can go on ahead to my website. It's integrativemysticism.com.